Welcome
to another episode of
Metal
Mastermind.
This is a series called Challenges Musicians Face, and in this first episode we're going to talk about goal setting, and more importantly we're going to give you some practical tips on how to set and how to achieve those goals so that you can be a successful metal musician. As a serious musician, goals are something you have to set. And one of the problems we face as musicians, because we're artists and us artists like to be more free-spirited and just kind of go with the flow, the problem we face though is actually sitting down and writing out those goals and saying, hey, I want to accomplish this by a certain date. The thing is, you need to have both long-term and short-term goals. So your long-term goal, those are kind of easy to make because you may say, well, by this time next year, I want this album released. You may already have that in the works. However, your short-term goals are the crucial pieces that are going to make sure that long-term goal happens. Let me ask you this. How many times have you said, well, I want to put this album out next year? And then all of a sudden, that year creeps up on you, and then you're like, oh crap, okay, maybe next year. And you see how that kind of snowballs into nothing. Now that's sort of an extreme example there because, again, as a serious musician, I know you're working hard at your craft. But I also know you may be one of those people watching that you're just wanting to put out your first album, and you've been wanting to put out that first album for the last 5 years. So it takes us back to the importance of setting those goals. And not only the long-term goal of getting that album out, or maybe that's not the case, maybe you've got a certain amount of shows you want to book and that sort of thing. Any type of big picture task that you want to accomplish as a serious and professional musician, we need to set those short-term goals as well. So let's go back to the example of doing an album. So you will want to write this out, or maybe put it in a spreadsheet or something like that. You want to write out the steps that it takes to create that album, every step of the process, from recording the individual instruments to the vocals, to getting the artwork done, to the pre-release planning, release day, the post-release planning. What are you going to do after it's released? So you need to have all of those goals written out. Those are little micro goals that lead you up to that big long-term goal.
When setting goals must be prioritized. If you do not prioritize your goals, you're going to find trouble keeping track of what to do next. I suggest to prioritize into 3 categories. A goals, which are your top priority. B goals, which are your mid to low priorities. And C goals, which are your low priorities. Things that you don't need to take care of right now. And when you have figured that out, you need to take everything in your B category and decide whether that's something you really need to do now or that's something you need to do later. Organizing goals this way will help to give you more clarity on what you need to do. I cannot stress this enough. Jason and I, and myself on my own projects, and Jason on his own projects, we do this in order to keep ourselves accountable for what we must do. If we are not putting goals on paper and setting dates for them, that's what you call a dream. And a difference between a dream and a goal is a date.
Now before you go, we have a free home studio setup guide for you. You can go to the YouTube description, click that link and download your guide. And please give this video a thumbs up if you feel like this content helped you. That's Ken and I's whole purpose of the Metal Mastermind channel, is just to help you.
So be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned to Metal Mastermind. See you next time.